want to spoon feed people as much as you can with humor.
Sometimes you have to laugh. That's where Lamorne Morris comes in. The comic actor grew up near Chicago and was hell-bent on crafting a career in Hollywood. His big break came in 2011 as Winston Bishop on Fox's The New Girl, where he was a member of the principal cast for 7 seasons. And now is his biggest moment yet. He's starring as Keith, a cartoonist based off of real-life animator Keith Knight, and he has, well, a racial awakening. We chat. When did the dream for you to become an actor begin?
That dream, I acknowledged that I wanted to be an actor earlier in life. I realized I wasn't that good at basketball. So it's like, I thought I was going pro for a while, but then I was like, nah, you need a jump shot, buddy. And your jump shot is trash potatoes. So I started, acting in church when I was a kid. And then I would say right around the time I was leaving high school is when I realized, okay, well, if I'm leaving high school without a game plan, and the only thing I love doing is acting, maybe this is a career path, because I enjoyed doing it. I loved doing it, but I didn't know. And to be quite honest with you, I didn't think it was possible. Like, what are the odds that somebody out of Chicago is going to turn into like an actor, like a working actor, So I was doing a lot of stuff on stage, a lot of theater, a lot of improv, sketch comedy. But once I started getting in front of those audiences and humor started working, I was like, okay, this is for sure. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to go times 10 at this, at this journey.
What was the moment that let you know that you were going down the right path?
It was probably at Second City in Chicago. I was on stage once, and I just remember I was trying to write something, or we were trying to write sketches. We'd write our own stuff, kind of like SNL. You'd write your own stuff to get stuff on. And the stuff that I would write wasn't as good as the stuff that other people would write for me. So I would write stuff for myself, and I wouldn't get a lot of the reaction that I thought I should have got, unless someone else wrote it for me, and then like it would kill. So that made me, and then the director, I was talking with the director once, and I was struggling with a scene that I was writing, and he's like, Lamorne, he goes, writing is something that you got to work at for a long time to know yourself and know your voice. Performing is just in you. And he goes, you're a performer. So perform, and let writing happen. Don't force it. Just let it happen. And once he said that, I kind of, I would go on stage and I would get these really cool, like audiences that would really, really be behind me. And I just thought, man, like, this is crazy. Like, this is really crazy. I told a joke on stage and people laughed. Like, that's amazing to me. Maybe I should keep doing it. So that was probably the validating moment for me.
Yeah. And then it's interesting because I remember after you and I talked the first time was when The New Girl happened. And when that happened, I was like, okay, he's out here now.
Yeah.
How did that moment of bringing Winston Bishop to life come for you? And was that probably your first, like, I feel like I am firmly rooted in Hollywood moment?
Yeah. That role came up. It was my goodness, a weird series of events. I think I auditioned 15 times for New Girl. It was, I was going to be coach at one point, then that went away. I had to take a different job. Then Damon came in. Then Damon couldn't do the second season. If you guys don't know, I'm talking about Damon Wayans Jr. And then he had to leave because his show had another season. So then they opened it up for a new character that I came back. It was this whole, you could write a book on it, And so that's how I got the character. That's how I got the role. And yeah, absolutely. That being on the show made me say, okay, this is where I am. This is going to be my life for a while. I used to host for BET for a while. That was the first job that made me say, this business is for me. Because it was a up and down struggle, leaving Chicago to have to move to New York, fish out of water in New York, and now you're legit on your own. I was 20, I want to say 21, and didn't have my mom to take care of me, didn't have, the home cooked meal. So it was a lot of, that type of struggle, and BET got me there. And then I got broke, went cold turkey, quit hosting, started acting. And then once I booked the show, I said, okay, this is it for me right here. That day that I booked it, was, I still think about that moment. It was one of the greatest feelings of my life, because I don't get too high or too low.
Mhm.
But to this day, New Girl, was that introduction to me. That was like the goal. I'm on a television show,
Yeah.
and here it is. Yeah.
Did your family understand immediately what it was that you wanted to do?
Instantly supported.
Mm,
I when I was a kid, I was the clown, and so everybody expected me to, go into that field, some sort of broadcast entertainment.
yeah.
I at one point I wanted to be a sports journalist, and I used to try to do these mock, tapes in class about sports and stuff, and I always try to infuse humor in it. And then the one throughout my career and my life, the one thing that was always constant was silliness and playfulness that I always had. And so the moment I said I'm going to school for acting, everyone was like, "Oh, of course."
Yeah.
Like, what else would you go to school for? You ain't a damn brain surgeon. We see your grades. We see your report card. Yeah. Like, you got to,
That's a grades and report card.
yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, I had some struggles in school later on, in like high school years. I was like, where am I? What are we learning today? Oh my God. Like, when did this happen?
And what's great is that now you are starring in your own series on Hulu
Yes.
with Woke. And
Mhm.
first off, I love it. I think it's fantastic. But it also feels like it might be familiar to you. Is it familiar to you? And what made you say this is the project that you wanted to be part of?
It's way too familiar to me.
Does this photo look right? Did you guys lighten my photo? I look like Sammy Sosa.
Uh, that's just a mock-up for publicity, so...
Am I too black for my own comic strip?
No, trust me. No one's gonna ever accuse you of being too black, okay?
I'm sorry, what?
What?
What'd you say?
What he means to say is it's what we like about you.
For me, and a lot of people are like this, where we just kind of go about our day. We see things happening in the world. Like, I can look out the window and go, man, there's a lot of homeless people out there. Oh, not my problem. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, oh man, those dudes are getting pulled over. Man, they got their feet on their necks. Like, nah, well, I wonder what they did wrong. Anyway, go home and read these audition sides for the Snickers commercial that I gotta go and do. So that was me for the longest time. I'm talking most of my life. You see it, you don't call it out. So now, I start to. I've always wanted to do something where I could make an impact somewhere. You know what I mean? Something meaningful. I would watch a lot of my peers do things that I would go, man, that show just moved me in some sort of way. You watch Atlanta and you go, well, I can laugh, but I can also, feel something. Or I can look at even though it's absurd in its moments, it
Yeah.
still has these elements of, of community that we see every single day, the good and the bad. And so Woke definitely came right on time, and I leapt at the opportunity. I jumped at it, to be a part of the show.
Yeah. Is there a certain amount of pressure that you are carrying now because this is not a supporting cast. You're not a
Mhm.
supporting cast member.
Yeah.
You are the show. The show is centered
Mhm.
around your character.
Mhm. A little bit, but that's something that I welcome. You know what I mean? It's like you ask for something and then you get it, but you got to be prepared for it. And outside of the camera and outside of set, the pressures are high, but only because of what our country is dealing with.
Mm,
The issues that we're dealing with in our world. We got a global pandemic happening. We have a pandemic with sickness, but also with race. You know
yeah.
what I mean? It's messed up, the things that we're dealing with. We're dealing with voter suppression. We're dealing with sexism in the workplace. We're dealing with, little, you name it, we're dealing with it, and it's directly in front of us. So not the easiest thing to navigate around. So when I do interviews and stuff, I don't want to go on CNN talking about politics, but I definitely want to, I definitely want to speak to what I do know. And what I do know is that like what we're seeing ain't right. We have a big election coming up, but not just for the presidency, not just for the White House, but for Congress. Let's talk about those issues. Let's put the right people in place. Let's fire some sheriffs. Let's get new sheriffs in. This is the time to do it, at a more local level. That type of pressure for me to speak on those things, it's grown because no one's asking me about these questions during, when I was doing New Girl. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But this show definitely is like, okay, this is going to cause some reaction out of people. So let's do it.
Let's do it. And that's the thing, is that you take conversations that we're already having at the dinner table, but you give it this comedic frame that you wrap it in. So it makes it for a different layer of conversation, I think, to happen. And that feels like maybe that's the goal of this particular project for you, right?
Yeah, you want to spoon feed people as much as you can with humor. You don't want to hit people over the head constantly with, this is what it should be like. This is what I feel. We don't want to always be on the soapbox. Even though sometimes we deserve to be out there, saying things, shouting it from the rooftops. However, I feel like people can digest it easier when you add a little comedy around it, some humor, a talking trash can, a racist marker. You can add those things in there. Why not? And if people can easily, accept it that way. And that also depends, and that's true to any medium of art, right? Whether it be, you could be a painter, make something that people could, if you really want your message out there, and you don't want people to struggle with the message, sometimes you got to spoon feed people, and I think humor helps that.
Up next on Another Act, Niles Fitch.